Remember this? Yuck. Not only gross, but unsanitary and stinky too. Who wants to scrub away like Cinderella? Make a wish and transform your cleaning from this to this. The cordless wet-dry vac mop is now officially a thing, a device that allows you to mop your floors without a bucket. This product category has only been around a few years, but we're already seeing big improvements to the devices.
The new Tyneco Floor One S7 Pro is Tyneco's newest option, and it does have some improvements over the previous model, which was the Floor One S5, and even over some competitors. But it's increased the price substantially, so are those new features worth the substantial extra cash? In this review, I'll try it out here in my home, run it through some cleaning tests. I'll go over the pros and the cons, and I'll let you know if I think this is a worthy cleaning solution for your home.
What are you getting here? The Tyneco S7 is an upright cordless stick vacuum and mop combo that allows you to clean your tile, hardwood, and other non-carpeted surfaces quickly and thoroughly without leaving a lot of water behind.
One of the big pluses here is not having to sweep before mopping your floors, since this machine is made to vacuum too, kinda. While it will vacuum up stray bits on the floor, it's also not a dedicated vacuum or one you can use on carpets, and I'll get to more on that in just a second.
The battery-powered system allows you about 40 minutes of cleaning before you need to bring it back to the base station for recharging. The battery power the S7 offers means more flexibility too than a unit that needs to be plugged in, and it's easy to swivel and get into smaller areas. The S7 has some improvements over the previous model, the S5. The most visible differences are a larger and more elaborate information screen and a big light across the front of the new S7's cleaner head. There's also what Tyneco calls its smooth power bidirectional self-propulsion system. In plain English, what that means is the vacuum will both push and pull itself forwards and backwards, requiring less effort from you.
Previous vacuums in this style often had forward propulsion, but then you had to work to pull it back towards you before it would drag it off back forward again. This back and forth motion is a little unnerving initially, but it actually makes cleaning quite effortless, as I found out in my hands-on testing.
The total battery life is now 5 minutes longer on the S7, which is up to 40 minutes, like I said. The clean and the dirty water tanks have been redesigned and are slightly larger on the S7 than the S5. The price has also risen substantially on this model. The S5 sold for about $4.99 US or $6.29 Canadian, and even competitor Roborock's Dyad Pro is sitting around $4.49 or less. The new Pro version of the S7 here jumps up to a pricey $7.99 US or $9.99 Canadian.
One of the selling features of this device is that it can more effectively vacuum at the same time that it's mopping your floors. Now, despite being billed as a vacuum and mop, this device is not designed to be used as a vacuum only, since it always has water flowing. But of course, there are ways around this.
If you don't fill the clean water tank, you could certainly use the vacuuming function of this device, but in my tests, I found the S7 Pro only marginally effective as a standalone vacuum. The suction power doesn't appear to be very strong at all. When I tried to get the vacuum to hold a small piece of paper, there was barely enough suction to keep it there for long.
So yes, you could vacuum with it, but I don't think it would be nearly as effective as using an actual vacuum. Even without putting any water in the tank, you could also use it on carpet, but again, because of that lack of suction, it's really not going to help you out that much.
The S7 is self-propelled and does pull itself rather skillfully forward and back, making cleaning a lot less effort. It also has cleaning rollers that go all the way to the edges of the brush head, so you can get right up to baseboards and edges. I actually found it was quite good at getting little grainy bits from along walls, baseboards, and cupboards.
Let's get to my cleaning tests and see how well the Tyneco Floor One S7 Pro cleans. I tried it out in various situations here in my home. I used it as a vacuum, as I noted, but since it's meant as a wet-dry vac mop hybrid, the fair and proper cleaning tests are on wet spills and dried-on liquids.
Start your clean by filling the water tank with cold or warm water and adding Tyneco's cleaning solution if you want. I was able to try it on mopping general fall dirt as well as spills like coffee and wine. Here the Tyneco S7 Pro impresses. The spinning brushes underneath the S7 power messes off the floor, and the fact it uses clean water to wipe up after it's inhaled a spill does actually leave the floor quite clean. From thicker messes or mixed media like spilled cereal, the S7 Pro is actually a great multi-purpose floor cleaning tool.
The S7 Pro will remind you to clean it after each use, and that is absolutely mandatory if you're wiping up something like milk, dairy, or anything else that'll start to smell.
I used the S7 on tile and hardwood, and it did a great job on both. I didn't find it left the floors too damp or streaky either. They were wet after I finished cleaning, but not so wet they were hazardous or that they didn't dry quickly. While the vacuum does pick up dry debris while it's mopping, one of the downsides of this is it does form kind of a wet mess inside the dirty water tank, and the internal filter gets full quickly if it catches much at all. When you return the S7 to its base station, it'll tell you if a self-clean is needed. The cleaning cycle will wash the roller brush and the inner water hose and then use its centrifugal drying technology, aka it spins the roller really fast, to remove all the water from it. The base station itself does also need to be plugged in the wall to operate. The S7's LED readout screen will let you know how long you have left before the battery runs out and what cleaning mode you're in. It will also apparently change colors from red to blue depending on how clean the floor is.
Tyneco claims the iLoop sensor can detect how dirty your floor is, and when there's more debris on your floor, the S7 here will increase the amount of suction power. When there's less dirt or debris, it will lower it. For the most part, I have to say I found this technology to be lacking, we'll say, both in this device and in other brands. I just don't see it working.
In my tests, when I would run the S7 Pro over an obviously dirty spot, the sensor wouldn't change. A red light loop supposedly indicates more dirt while a blue means less, yet sometimes, cleaning relatively clean areas, the dirt detection light would just turn on. I'm not quite sure what it's actually detecting, and since I find this device to be quite effective at overall cleaning, I guess maybe it doesn't matter that the light feels kinda like a gimmick.
There's 3 cleaning modes available.
With auto mode, the iLoop sensor supposedly automatically detects how dirty the floor is and then uses the appropriate amount of detergent and suction power. With max mode, the device uses maximum suction and more water to deal with deeper stains. In ultra mode, the manual says the appliance will prepare for 30 seconds and then start to work, adding this mode is made for deep cleaning. I'm not quite sure what this means, except perhaps it's saturating the rollers in advance, since a small light comes on inside and the clean water tank bubbles.
Let's go over the pros and cons of this vacuum. Overall, it is most effective and most impressive as a cordless mopping device. The back and forth self-propulsion works really well, and it definitely makes mopping a lot less laborious. It picks up pretty much any type of liquid, and it can also power off dried-on stains too. The water tanks seem to be a reasonable size to get most of my 1,000 square foot main floor clean, and the self-cleaning properties of the vacuum ensure it doesn't get stinky between jobs. It also has a relatively small footprint. On the con side, this device isn't designed to replace your vacuum. The vacuum portion of it just means that it helps you manage lingering bits so you don't need to do a full vacuum before you mop. One of the other downsides is that if you vacuum up any gummy bits, they become kind of messy and gross once they get into the dirty water tank. Perhaps that's a small price to pay for you not having to be down on your hands and knees cleaning up spilled cereal. I also didn't find that the dirt detection from the iLoop sensor is actually a real thing. The price for this model is also a bit on the high side when considering the Pro branding and supposed premium features. The Tyneco Floor One S7 Pro here sells for about $7.99 US or $9.99 Canadian. I was all set to recommend this wet dry vac mop until I checked the price. Now I'm pretty torn. In my opinion, I think Tyneco is kind of picking the devil's lettuce here when it comes to the pricing. I think the small gains that have been made in this device, I'm thinking of the addition of that push-pull propulsion, since older models actually also had some degree of that, Plus, the LED light and the fancier info screen are not really worth the substantial extra money it's going to cost you, particularly since the vacuum suction power in here is incredibly lackluster and it can't operate as a standalone vacuum. In my opinion, as long as the Floor One S5 is still available for sale, and I do see it on sale quite cheap right now, I think that would be the one to get in terms of best bang for your buck. Now, with all of that said, if you're excited for this new model and you've got the funds, this is a really effective floor washer. Definitely a lot better than the old mop and bucket. Check out my review of the Tyneco Floor One S5 or Roborock's competitor, the Dyad Pro, right now.